into a solution for those issues. So everything I'm going to say over the next 5 sessions that we're going to do is coming at it from the lens of someone who's not an expert in that specific issue, but is able to kind of assess and look at what is presenting so that I can then leverage the skills and the education, the gifts that other people are offering in order to help. So does that make sense? Because I think that's the question I get the most from volunteers is like, what do I do? How do I help? How do I, what do I engage this person? How do I handle that? And I just want to be very clear that I'm not standing up here pretending to be something I'm not. I'm really not an expert in any one of these things. But at the same time, I can share with you from my experience kind of the parameters around which you guys are kind of operating in with regards to men and women who experience homelessness. Does anyone have any, and can you just keep going, but I want to pause and take a sip of water. So at the same time, if anyone has any burning things to say, Chelsea said it was a conversational, and I want to honor that. So I'm just lecturing at you the whole time. If you at any point, yes?
Hi, the statistic about 90% of women on the streets being assaulted within the last 30 days is striking. I was just wondering if you could give a source for that statistic, because that's really impactful.
I can email it to you after the session. It's from a study that was done in Washington D.C. Within the last year. I'd have to dig it up though. But yes, I can dig that up. It was a study that was done in Washington, among the chronically homeless in Washington D.C. But I apologize, I don't have a specific reference right off the top of my head, but I can definitely get it for you. So here's the thing about engaging, right? Like the Michael Scott quote. If we're going to engage people, I believe with all my heart that we have to create an environment where men and women who are coming in off the street will be open to questions and conversations about life and about their situation. So engagement to me is all about ethos. It's all about the environment that we create. And the thing that we do, you guys may not realize, as volunteers and as staff who are doing this kind of work, is everything that you do, everything that you say, will lend itself towards an environment. One of the things that's really interesting is if you're experiencing homelessness, you actually will develop, what I've experienced anyway, is you'll develop survival techniques. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that as time goes by, you will learn how to survive. You will learn how to cope. And you will start to develop, like I said, homelessness being intrinsically lonely, you will start to develop trust issues because homeless men and women are, again, not just women are often victims of assault, but also men are a disproportionate number of the homeless men and women who we meet are also victims of assault, or even they're robbed a lot. My friend Oscar, who I told you about, one of the reasons he was able to get his ID and his green card and everything back was because he was at our house. Because he was on the subway and he had his bag tied to his leg, and someone cut the rope that had tied the bag to his leg and stole his bag with his ID. And I was at an outreach recently where someone had his backpack up on a shelf and someone just ran up, grabbed it, and left. And if everything you have is in your bag, if everything you have is your ID, your money, your benefits card, whatever it is, and it's just gone. I mean, you need ID to get ID. That's the thing. That's the irony. So if you don't have ID, you can't get ID. So you're screwed. So if you're living in this perpetual state of fear, this perpetual state of survival. Guys, we have to remember that when we are engaging these folks, that when we create, the environment we create has to be, it can't just be surface. It can't just even counterbalance survival. It has to be over the top. It has to be, you have to overexert yourself. So if we're going to create an environment where men and women who are living in survival mode will actually be open up. We can't just do what many organizations do, which is that they do the bare minimum. Many, I've seen this over and over again in organizations where, because of lack of funding, because of priorities, people will do the bare minimum. They will just skate by on what they can serve, so they can serve more people, but they will end up doing it at a lower level, right? They'll be a mile wide and an inch thin. Which is, if you talk to anybody who's experiencing homelessness in New York, well, not anybody, but almost everybody, what will they tell you about the shelters? Why aren't you going to a shelter? Right. Has any of you guys actually gone into Bellevue, into the intake center for DHS? Yes. It's not exactly the most warm and fuzzy experience. It's like literally the words psych ward are still, I believe, are still inscribed over the door from where it used to be. Like, there's metal detectors set up, there's police as you walk in. Like, I walked in there in the middle of the night one time, and it was like I was walking into like what's the Arkham prison in Gotham? You know, like this is what I was thinking. And I wasn't even going in for help. I was just going in as a visitor. And so think about the men and women who are walking into that environment. What are they going into? What are they actually, like, what are they feeling? What are they experiencing? So as if we're going to create a culture of dignity, if we're going to actually have an ethos of respect, and that's what I want. That's a key starting point. An ethos of respect. And if you're going to create an ethos of respect with your engagement, you have to actually, make a first impression. Guys, I can't even tell you how important first impressions are. First impressions matter. For men and women who are experiencing homelessness, and for you and for me. I mean, you guys have a first impression of me. According to Business Insider, and I actually do have this reference, if you're going to top of my head, but according to Business Insider, the first impression you will make in under 7 seconds. Like, usually everyone will develop a first impression under 7 seconds. And this is the advice that people give for interviews, because everyone needs to get a job. And so if you're going to go on an interview to get a job, you want to make a good first impression. And these are the top 5 advice points for interviews, and some of you have heard me show this before. The first one is smile. Second one is shake hands. Offer to shake hands with the person. The third one is introduce yourself. The fourth one is speak clearly. And the fifth one is maintaining eye contact. This is Business Insider's top 5 advice for making a first impression. Now, what would happen if all across the homeless services industry, the people and the volunteers started practicing this kind of engagement? What would happen if the men and women walking in off the street in survival mode, struggling with any one of these issues or many of them, encounters the shelter